Hello, everybody. Welcome. I am Ryan Alcantara with USC Rassier Career Services, and I'm joined by Isabel Wright, our Career Services Specialist. Say hi, Isabel.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us.
Yes, thank you very much for joining us for a very special skills session, LinkedIn 202, Maximizing Your Professional Impact with uh, USC Rassier's very own Tony Reyes. Tony is the Assistant Director of Digital Strategy at USC Rassier School of Education and has been with Rassier for the past 2 years. Previously, he served in a variety of roles leading digital media and marketing, including as the Digital Media and Marketing Manager at Brentwood School, the International Marketing Manager of Gotham Corporate Group, and digital strategy for website design management at the Fulbright Commission. He also is the founder and podcaster for Black Life China, a multi-channel online resource that facilitates Black student interest in international opportunities. He earned a BA in Asian Studies from Temple University and a CBA in Business Administration from the University of Washington Foster School of Business. Tony is very active on LinkedIn, and today's session was born out of a conversation that Tony and I had several months back now, just about the power of LinkedIn, and I kind of got some insights on the work that Tony's been involved in that space. So most of us likely have a LinkedIn presence, but just thinking about different ways that we can be better engaging that platform and utilizing it to elevate our overall presence, improving our ability to network, and generally make us more effective LinkedIn users. So, today we're going to talk about connecting and engaging with key individuals, showcasing your professional best, and developing meaningful connections that propel your professional journey forward. So I'm going to hand it over to Tony. And again, thank you, Tony, for being here and sharing some insights.
Hey everyone. I am excited to be here, like Ryan said. When it comes to, we had a conversation about LinkedIn, and I'm very passionate about LinkedIn in terms of a platform that can help pretty much anyone improve their career possibilities or developing their professional brand. While there's more enticing platforms like TikTok or even Instagram to some degree, I don't think we have never had any other platform like LinkedIn that has such a direct impact on areas like our professional opportunities and things like our career aspirations. Unless you're trying to be a influencer, then maybe TikTok works more in that way. But really, when you think about practically as just professionals, there's nothing that's more powerful than about LinkedIn. So when he brought the idea of me doing this presentation on 202, I jumped at the chance because I've done this for the VA. I've done this for other places I've been. I've done this for high school students. I just think there's so much we can get out of LinkedIn that people just don't know. And before LinkedIn further monetizes itself and makes organic reach very hard to get, like you have with other platforms, right now is your opportunity to leverage LinkedIn for all of its worth. Get as much out of it as you can. And it costs you nothing to do, but the return of your energy, the return of your investment of your time is so great when you use a platform like LinkedIn. So as you can see, I'm excited about this, but let's just start off with the basic reasons of why LinkedIn. So here's a couple of stats about LinkedIn I think is very important to be aware of. There's over 1.6 billion users monthly on LinkedIn. Now, here's the thing. Only 1% of the people who use LinkedIn actually create any content. So that means most of the time we're just looking at content that other people created. But many people are not creating much content, which gives people the opportunity and have an advantage in that. In business called blue ocean strategy, which means you have low competition for greater gain. So there's not many other platforms that have that kind of heavy imbalance. And LinkedIn, I mean, it's a beautiful idea of the return of your ROI, return of your investment, particularly your time as a platform. So you have low competition on LinkedIn. Secondly, you're able to reach people that you're really trying to reach from a professional standpoint. And you can actually target them in ways you can't do on other platforms. And then lastly, like I said earlier, it has a greater impact on life. So for me, I have Facebook still, and that's good for friend groups or other groups that I join. But professionally, it doesn't cross that realm. Twitter is a hit and a miss, as we all know. It's interesting. TikTok, again, not necessarily the demographic when it comes to our professional opportunities and development. So LinkedIn is the place to be. If you choose any platform you wanted to use a social media and only had to choose one, for myself, that would be LinkedIn. So to move on, a little bit about myself, as Ryan so greatly has said, I worked at I'm working at Ross Stewart School of Education. I've worked in higher ed, K-12. I've done things in China. I've done things across America. I've been doing digital marketing, social media since really the advent of the creation. So I'm looking forward to really share the things I've learned with you. I also speak Mandarin. That's something interesting. I spent 5 years in China as not as Fulbright scholar, but as a scholar, as a professor, and also as a student. So enough about me. Let's get into it. So what are we going to cover today are pretty much 4 areas. We're going to talk just briefly about how you optimize your profile. Whatever I'm sharing with you today won't matter if your profile doesn't meet the bare minimum. And again, we're going to spend very little time on that because that's more of a LinkedIn 101 and it's a LinkedIn 202. So if later on Ryan feels like, hey, you know what, people want to learn more of the 101, we can go back to that. But for today, I was going to cover a couple of things and we're going to move on. Then we're going to talk about ways, of course, of getting noticed on that platform. We talk about how to build your connections, and this is really where your time should be spent, and also how to develop your content strategy and showcase what you know. Let's see here. So again, just briefly, basic things. Your profile photo, of course, your profile, your image is definitely you leaving a digital first impression. So if you do not have your photo, your profile image there, please create it and definitely get one that's professional. I know the career services provides that ability. I think it's the Tudor building has like a free professional photos you can take there. You can do it with your camera and use the portrait mode, or you can take a picture of yourself and the AI can give you different like professional shots of yourself. So there's no reason why you shouldn't have a really good professional photo on there, just something very basic. Headline and hooks. A lot of people get caught up in what they should have in their first headline. I just want to tell you just 3 things very simply. Don't make it too complicated. Share the value you provide someone, and then say something unique about yourself. So in my case, I have my position because if someone's trying to hire me, to hire for someone by a title. So I have digital strategist in my title, but then I explain the value I provide, right? I help institutions, navigate the digital world or something to that effect, right? You want to show value. Then lastly, you want to use something that's unique. So in that case, I put that I'm a Fulbright scholar or something to that effect because it hits 3 different areas. That's exactly what a person's looking for, demonstrating how you provide value, how you will benefit them, and lastly, something that would help me stand out. So again, just briefly, if you haven't done that with your headline, consider doing that with your headline. The last part, people spend a lot of time on their summaries. And while I think the summary is important to have, basically keep it a story, a nice short paragraph, and some bullet points that kind of pulls in information that collects keywords that people might be looking for when they're searching to hire people for a job. On the hiring side of LinkedIn, a lot of it is AI, a lot of it is algorithmic. So a lot of times it's populating keywords that are pulling from your profile. So as you go through the process of creating and adding your summary and other areas to your profile section on LinkedIn, and make sure you keep these keywords in there that come from like job post. Mainly job posts are the best way to do it. So if you get a bunch of job posts, maybe 10 or 20 that are around the area of your interest, and you compile them into an AI program, and then you ask the AI program, hey, what are the keywords that are here that relates to me and what I do? It will give you a list of keywords that you can then put into LinkedIn that will actually help you show up when someone searches for a person to hire someone. So keep that in mind. That's a little SEO tactic for you. So I covered keywords. Of course, fill out every section. This is how you know it's important to fill out every section in LinkedIn, because it asks you to. All right. So it's asking you to fill out everything because LinkedIn is a business. So why would a business want to show profile of people who haven't completed their profile? They do not. So I implore you to complete as much of your profile as possible, because then it actually demonstrates to LinkedIn that, okay, we want to show this, display this profile to people. So if you haven't, I know it's time consuming, but it's very important that you go in and fill out every piece of every section of the profile that you can. Again, it's important to helping you show up when someone searches for you, or with algorithmically when a person's at their landing page and they're seeing content comes up. So please do that. So let's move on. So again, I want to just talk about that briefly. If you have questions later on near the end, please ask about LinkedIn one-on-one kind of profile things you can. But really, what I want to get into are things that we can control. What I can't control is someone coming to my page. I have no power in that. I can just make my profile as best as possible and pray to LinkedIn that it will show my page. However, there's a lot of what's within our control and things that we can do that can actually improve the chances of people engaging with our profiles. By engaging with our profiles, it moves to, which is like a 3-tier system in LinkedIn. And as people engage with your profile at different levels, it is then shown to more people. So what I'm going to do is cover 3 areas that I think are definitely the most important part, or the things that you can really focus on, that is probably the best use of your time on the platform. Again, I'm about not doing everything, but doing things that work the best in this case. Very Pareto principle when you think about it, 80-20 rule. So first, let's just talk about posting. Was there a question? Oh, okay. Let's talk about posting. Yes, share updates, achievements that you have. The key thing with posting, there's no trick and there's no magic to it. The main thing is to be authentic and be you. I'm sorry, I'm hearing background noise. Someone's not muted. Thank you. Be authentic and be you. I've spent days and hours and months I have an Excel sheet of people who do well on LinkedIn, and I've been reading their posts, making my own notes, me and a good friend of mine. And the biggest thing we've noticed on LinkedIn is not people who keep posting things about, well, you know, this is what I know, and I'm telling you what I know. That's not really what gets attention on LinkedIn. It's really authentic content that tells the story about an individual, tells achievement and success, or even things that are not successful, like how people feel, fear of overcoming a situation, struggle. These things perform well on LinkedIn as anywhere. People kind of get it mixed up that because it's a professional platform, that's what people are reading. But if you catch yourself reading LinkedIn, take a mental note of what kind of content you're actually looking at. What I have here are 3 different profiles of people that I enjoy on LinkedIn. I'm not sure if this will open here. Let's see if it will open to this page. It won't. Jasmine Alec, Laura Costa, and Luke James use 3 different ways of sharing information. And They're very different, but they have hundreds of thousands of followers. They have high engagement rates. And the key thing really is about just being authentic, not being stuffy, not talking in, high diction and specialized terms. We're human, and we connect through the human experience. And if you share via the human experience on LinkedIn, it actually goes very well. I've experimented myself using different styles and systems. And one thing you should also use as a technical technique is something called the 3-2-1 or 3-1-3 technique. And what is the 3-2-1-3-1-3? So when people write content on LinkedIn, they write a lot of content, right? A lot of text. No one's going to read that. You really have 5 to 10 seconds to, you only have like really 2 seconds to capture a person's attention and 5 to 10 to really draw them in. So when it comes to LinkedIn, what the experts have learned is that if a person sees on your post that it's a lot of content, they won't even read it because it's already overstimulating by just looking at it. So the 3-1-3 or 3-2-1 strategy is that you write one line to hook somebody, brings them in. You write 3 sentences together. Then you write 1 sentence. Then you write 3 sentences. Then you write 1 sentence. And you kind of bounce back and forth. All of these individuals here, Jasmine Alley, Laura Costa, and Lou James, use that kind of technique where they break up the content in a way that is skimmable, and it automatically communicates to the individual who's going to look at it that it's going to be, easy to digest. So again, I wish I could open up these links. I would show you. Maybe I can just do a quick. All right, maybe I can give you a good example.
Yeah, that'd be great. And I could see the screen too.
Can you see it now?
Yeah, I could see the link, your LinkedIn.
Okay. So you see how it's broken up in this way, right? And if you go to a different post, she uses different ones. But again, list one, it's 1-1-3 in this case, she used her. But if all of them do this, this is the thing. And if you're not doing this, immediately stop change the way you post. Posting like this is going to go a lot further for you than posting and clumping things together, right? But I want to get bogged down here because we have limited time. But I can go back to that, or you can just write down these names and do a search yourself, and you can start studying how they post. Next is the area of writing articles. I love writing articles on LinkedIn. I've done it for years. Were people reading it? Not really, right? But I was writing them, the thing is that we got to remember when it comes to digital or anything, we often are so focused on wanting to share who we are with people that we forget it's not about us. It's about what value we give to others, right? And sometimes we like, well, I wrote this thing. If they build it, they will come. That's not necessarily the case, right? It's good to write articles. Again, I'm not against writing articles, but I think there's a smarter and more effective way to write articles on LinkedIn. And that's through the newsletters. So LinkedIn gives us the ability to create, quotes, newsletters, right? But they're not really newsletters, they're just articles. But people can subscribe to your article, right? And what's very interesting, what the algorithmic update of LinkedIn that happened early 2024, it changed a lot of things. But one of the things that they pointed out was that if you want to get outside of the algorithm, then creating a newsletter is the way to do it. When you create a newsletter on LinkedIn, what it ends up doing is that people can subscribe to that newsletter. When they subscribe to that newsletter, it's not an algorithm situation. When they subscribe to it, when you post, they will get notified, or it comes up in their feed that you posted something in your newsletter. And so that newsletter is just an article. Now, they're supposed to be able to also send a notification to a person when you post in your newsletter on LinkedIn to their email box also. Thus making it a newsletter. I haven't seen it in my email box from my friend who I signed up for his newsletter. So I'm not sure. Maybe I'm looking at the wrong inbox, but supposedly people should receive also an email version of what you wrote on LinkedIn. I just know if you want to get beyond the algorithm and have full control of who subscribes to not subscribe, but who you communicate with on LinkedIn, really the newsletter is the best option, because if you just post an article, you can't, I mean, people can engage with it, but it's really based off of the algorithmic system within LinkedIn. But if you start posting and people sign up for your newsletter, then it'll go to them no matter what. Now, here's the thing about creating your newsletter. We all can create it. And I think one of the things I want you to do today is definitely create your newsletter. Here's the thing about the newsletter. You might want to start building up your community first, up to 1,000 or maybe 2,000, or at least a couple of hundred. Because what it will do for the first time when you create your newsletter, it will blast it to everyone that's in your network. So the greater your network, the more people who will receive it. So keep that in mind. If you're starting from zero, don't worry about creating a newsletter at this moment. You're going to worry about actually building your community a little bit, right? To all your contacts on your phone or your emails or people at your job. Start small and then send out the newsletter. And then you can build it strong from there. Move on. So outside of newsletters, I think another part one should really focus on is learning how to network effectively on LinkedIn. So what does that look like? Well, of course, it's finding the people that you want to talk to that's within your industry, learning how to start meaningful conversations, which often is about not trying to show them up and say, oh, you think this, but actually, blah, 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 blah. That doesn't work. It's really about engaging with them, drawing out more conversation about a person, and gaining insight, and then providing insight based off what they've said. Lastly, joining groups. Groups are a good way to navigate around the algorithm, because when you're joining a group and other people are in a group, you can then actually communicate with them within the group. So it's a nice way to get around if someone is not necessarily in your network. They're not like 1 degree, 2 degree, or third degree. They're not in it at all, but you find out they're in a certain group. You can go in that group and you can use what I'm going to share next, which is the advanced connection strategies that I use to actually connect with the people who you have no connection to. So I like to call this the strategic visibility, for lack of a better term. So I'm going to walk you through this process, then I'm going to demonstrate it using Ryan's profile. So one, you guys start thinking about who do you want to connect to, right? Use LinkedIn with purpose. It's not like YouTube or Facebook. It will behoove you to have a goal when you use this platform. So in this case, maybe you want your dream connection as a hiring manager. Honestly, it's very good for that. If you're applying to a job, find the people who are actually part of the hiring team, and you can start engaging with them. And it's very effective. It works. Most people don't do that, but you can do that. Find a person who runs the office that you're going to work under, or a key connection you want. You find that person you want to communicate with. Or somebody you want to network with and you want to learn something from, and maybe one day it'll be a mentor. One of the effective ways of doing that is to join a group that they're in, like I said earlier. Once you're in that group, you want to start engaging in that group. Now, I'm not saying to join a group that you have no interest in, right? Join something that usually, if it's a field that you're in, typically they belong to groups that it's within the same industry or field. Or maybe it's something different altogether, but you have a similar interest, right? Again, it's about authenticity. I'm not telling you to pretend to do any of the stuff. I mean, find places where you can truly be authentic, right? So find a group where you get engaged in. Then start creating content in that group within the comments or posting things there rather than just your page. Now that individual who's part of that group also get notified by that group they're in, right? And this is the way that you're kind of being visible, but it's specific within that area. And then if you ever reach out to this individual, it's not a cold connection. They're kind of aware of you, or maybe they'll say something within that group that you can engage with and communicate with, and you can form a relationship or connection in that way. It's very effective. I've used it myself. I remember for myself, I was studying LinkedIn experts, and this person who has like 500,000, I don't know, network. His network's 500,000 people. In addition to that, he has 2.2 million impressions a month. So I want to connect with this guy because I wanted to learn how to use LinkedIn effectively. And I see his content, very inspirational content. LinkedIn is the key place for inspirational content, right? So it's a great place to put it. And so what I did, I was inspired by his work, so I drew a cartoon. And it was the cartoon of a little character of me opening up a box with his name on it. And it says, me looking for what makes Corey, his name is Corey, Corey's content. What is Corey's secret? Looking for Corey's secret, something to that effect. And when I opened up the box, a heart came out and they said love on it, right? Because he's very positive in his messaging. So that he saw that, he commented on it. And when a person comments in your comment back, right? And also when a person comments on a comment or comments on a post, whatever you post next on your page, they will see because they are automatically engaged with you, right? That's something you should also know. But anyways, that's how I connected with this individual. And that's how he sat with me for like an hour, giving me a lot of secrets of how to use LinkedIn. That was very helpful. So again, that's using what I call the strategic visibility technique. So what I'm going to do is use Ryan, for example. So let's say I want to connect with Ryan. Now, in this case, I'm already connected with Ryan, so I can see his information. But the truth being is that be told that maybe I won't see all this, I'll just see his name. And what I want to do, if it's open, I can start engaging with his post, right? Which you all should do. But what you could also do is, let me go to view full profile. Nice picture, great background. Let's go down here. This is where I want to be. This is where you spend a lot of your time. One, these are kind of people that are similar to Ryan in their areas. Groups, there's so many groups that you belong to. So I can join this group and start engaging there. And then there's a strong possibility Ryan engages in that group. There's a strong possibility Ryan will start seeing in my posts. But again, we're not just doing stuff blindly, right? You don't have time to be on LinkedIn all day. So you want to use your time as effectively as possible. And this is a very effective way for you to go into and connect with people that you want proximity to or you want to connect with. Maybe he belongs to certain newsletters. See, Ryan follows me. Fantastic. Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
So in this case, you will go to my post and you will be commenting. Sure, go to my post. And you'll be comment on my post, and then Ryan will see it. You see, so this is not that hard. You just got to know where to search. You want to play down here in this area. It's very, very helpful to start right strategically finding ways to be more visible to the individuals you want to connect with. The last thing I want to say on this strategy is that join groups also that are non-traditional. So what does that mean, right? I enjoy martial arts. So I've joined a martial arts group. It's called Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu Executives. So basically, it's a bunch of these business executives who do martial arts, who do Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. And it's closed. So nowhere in my regular feed, you don't see any of my posts I put there. But everyone who's in that group will see things that connect to an interest or a passion. So a good way to also build your network is find an interest or a passion. It may not be not traditional, it's not necessarily business related. And that's a very great way for the connect. Same thing we do in the real world, right? When you go to something that you enjoy as a hobby, you network with people there. You can do the exact same thing on LinkedIn, but often people don't really think about that. So what I want all of you to try is to think about an interest that you have that's non-traditional, that's not professional, let me put it that way. And try to find that group on LinkedIn. And you'll be surprised of how many CEOs or leaders are in these groups. So that's a little extra tip I wanted to tell everyone.
So Tony,
Go ahead.
let me just interject real quick, a couple of
Hmm.
things. I'm glad I had a couple of groups. I haven't really been strategic in identifying groups, so I appreciate your focus in that area.
Hmm.
The other piece to that is maybe the intersection of groups, because you had indicated like, jujitsu and business executives. So it may not be some far out area, but the connection of different areas. Because I think of this a little bit like cocktail party. You're trying to find that intersection of interests. So, if we're engaged in higher ed or K-12, what's the other side of this that would really be a space that few others or fewer others share. And as a way to, again, to have that meaningful connection. I'll also say it feels a little stalking-ish,
Good
and
question.
and that's just the reality of it. But it's strategic, and the intent is that it's done professionally. Um, and I think you just have to get past that. I mean, if there are people that you want to connect with, use this as a tool to find out about them. Now, when you click on them, though, like people can see you in some instances, so
Yeah.
you you don't want to constantly click on somebody to make it too obvious. But these are I appreciate that. Just wanted to kind of point a couple of those little bits out.
Thank you. That's a very important thing, right? It's kind of creepy, right? Or what is weird? I'm searching for people. Uh, I think the key term that I keep using is be you and be authentic. And that's all social. If you're not being authentic, you're not coming at it from a good place. You're not using this from the right positioning. I don't think you should do any social, to be honest. You're doing this for exactly the wrong reasons. Um, if I'm trying to connect with a person like I did with Corey, it was out of actually a good thing. I wanted to get to know him, right? That the thing I drew, I meant what I said because he does make very kind content. And so everything I did was authentically me. So when you're doing this, you shouldn't be pretending. You're just wasting your time because there's only so much how long you can hold that up, right? So the key thing pulling from this, be authentic, be you, and really don't. There's some scammy things about LinkedIn. I get it in my inbox all the time. I know you receive them too. Where it'd be like, hey, Tony, I see that you work in trades. I don't work in trades, but I get the most random like inbox stuff in my LinkedIn. I mean, my whole thought is like, what are you doing with your time? Why are you wasting your time, emailing me or messaging me in my inbox when I have no connection to your business or no connection to anything of interest? You're just spamming me. So really, for me, I think people miss out in terms of using the most precious thing they have, which is their time, and they're wasting time just spamming people who have no interest. So I appreciate you bringing that up, Ryan. When you use these techniques that I'm providing you, they're tools. So you can use them for good or you can use them for the dark side, right? It's really up to you. But I'm assuming everyone in this room is using this for the right reasons. So you want to be of value. You want to provide value. And to me, that's what life's about. What we do, our work, our time with our families, is about we exist to provide value for others, right? Professionally and personally. So long as you're coming with that energy, honestly, it's gonna make you more creative. It's gonna make this a positive experience for you if you're coming at this in the right direction. So thank you, Ryan, for mentioning that. So I want to make sure I clear that up in case. So I know we run out of time, so I'm gonna speed through some. We're almost there. So stay with me and we'll get to the last part. So the newsletter part, 100% start today. Second part, strategic visibility. Start doing that, right? But let's talk about again. I want this to be very practical. I want this to be as soon as you leave here, you have like one or two things you can go. You know what? I'm going to do that. To me, that's the most important thing here. So here's a good little daily habit for you when you think about, well, how much time should I spend on LinkedIn? Honestly, not much. It can become overwhelming. One, comment on 3 posts. Honestly, for the first 6 months or first 60 days, maybe is better. Just comment. You'll get more ROI from commenting than you'll get from producing articles because LinkedIn loves engagement. So again, you're giving to others. So if you start your day and all you do is comment on people's posts, I mean real comments though, not like heart, but like, oh man, that's a very good point. Blah, 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 blah. That goes well. And I promise you, if you comment for the next 30 days, 3 posts a day, I promise you, matter of factly, that you will see your impressions and your followers grow. No doubt. So definitely, I can tell you right now, if you do this, it will work. Connect with these 2 people a day. Again, this is small. You do more, but connect with people. A good people to connect with are often those who respond to your comments or respond to your post because they've already engaged with you. So why not connect with them, right? They already kind of know you, so do that. Share an update, and again, an update can be anything. It doesn't have to be professional. Honestly, one of the techniques that those 3 experts that I showed you earlier use, they just share pictures of themselves. A lot of them, but honestly, that's what they do. If you're talking about Corey Warfield, the guy that one of my mentors, he does videos. It could be any random video. He says if people like cats and cats perform well, he'll post about cats. The thing is, when people do video posts about things that are not associated to their profession, they use the video as a thumb stopper to stop a person while they're looking scrolling. But then what they do is in their text, they'll use that and kind of relate it to their business some kind of way. So you get creative with it. But again, you don't have to be stuffy and overly professional on this platform. So keep that in mind. Let's see here, pro tips. It's changing. Sorry, there's a lag. Do you see a different slide or no? It's the same. Oh,
There we go. I'm seeing it.
Best time to schedule. Okay, I always want to say this for my work in digital strategy. There's no such thing as best practices. What I mean by that, there's the best thing is the best practice for you, but you won't understand it until you start creating content and start learning from the posts you create. When's the best time? When people typically engage? But in general, people look at LinkedIn during their workday. Beginning of the day is often good. During lunch is very good, and also at the end of the day. So kind of any time in that structure, in that time frame, you'll be okay to post. Again, images of yourself do very well. It helps you build parasocial relationships with people, which means people kind of get to know who you are so they see your images. I don't know how many times I've seen faculty that I haven't met, but then I see them in real life, and then I'm like, I know you from somewhere, but I can't put 2 and 2 together, right? It can work for you in many ways, especially if you end up doing an interview and the person saw your content is someone you actually, someone saw your content, they saw your face in your content, and then when you interview, they kind of know you, and it kind of works for you in that favor. So images of yourself are great. LinkedIn is now leaning back on to video. Video is now beta again in LinkedIn, which means they took it off for a while, and now they're bringing it back. I can't promise you that videos are going to do extremely well. I just know that right now LinkedIn is pushing it again. So you might as well put out video, but honestly, that can be a lot for people to do videos. So if you just do images, pictures of yourself, just selfies, honestly, it works very well, extremely well. Analytics. There is analytics sections on LinkedIn that you can look at. And honestly, it's a good time to spend your time. And also what's great about LinkedIn Analytics, there's a way we can't get into it here, like we do LinkedIn 303. You could actually export your follower list from LinkedIn or people who connect with you in your network. And you can actually learn what type of people follow you and what kind of content they enjoy. So again, that's a whole nother discussion, but just look at your basic analytics on LinkedIn, find out what kind of content does well for you, and then double down on that kind of content. So it's in there. I'm a big believer in analytics, and you should use it. I only have 2 slides left there, Ryan. So I'm gonna just end it here with we have Q&A next, but basically actions I want you to do right now. Refresh your LinkedIn profile with the new insights I provided. So we talked about keywords. I taught you how to pull keywords from job descriptions, what have you, put them in an AI platform, exporting out keywords. I'll tell you about how to update your headline. And if you don't have a professional photo, you should do that. There's a lot of other tips I can tell you about the profile, but again, limited time. The 202, I can't really get into it. but there's other things you can do. But for right now, that's a good place to start. Please start your newsletter. Here's the thing. Okay, start your newsletter and let me know, and I'm going to follow you, right, to get you started. So please, and I'll repost it. So start your newsletter. I promise you, it's going to be the best use of your time outside of commenting. It's going to be having that newsletter. Also, how about I want everyone to do right now in the comment is to leave your LinkedIn URL in the comment section. And what I would like everyone to do in this room is to follow, copy and paste it down, and we're going to follow each other. So you don't have to do this alone. So right now, for the next minute, I want you to go to your LinkedIn profile if you have access to it, and I want you to drop it in the comments right now, right? And I'm going to follow you, and everyone should follow everyone that's in the comment. So please do that right now. And lastly, of course, what I shared earlier about the daily 15 minutes of how you can use your time. The last thing here is hold on, did I miss anything? Yeah, let's follow each other. Let's help as a community. Let's help each other grow. Now we have the question and answer. I think I did pretty good on our time. So about 15 to 18 minutes. There's no question that's too basic. Please ask questions and kind of go from there. Thank you.
Thank you, Tony.
Oh,
And
hold
we'll,
on.
oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Tony.
Oh, and here's my newsletter, just in case you wanted to follow. You can take the QR. But go ahead, right, Ryan, please.
No, I just wanted to say thank you for providing that kind of deeper dive into LinkedIn that we normally get. I'll say a couple of things. I think, encouraging everybody, well, a couple of things. If you're in a space where you can turn on your video, it'd be great to see each other. So I encourage you to do that. But think about your takeaways. And I don't have a summary section, and I need to do some work on the group. So I appreciate those insights. Daily habits. I will say, Tony, as you say that, I'm not sure if I can commit to that, but on a weekly basis at least, or maybe a couple of times a week. I think certainly posting is good, but again, people have to figure that out. And I think it's developing that habit is really, really important piece. And I've heard it's more impactful when you reference somebody's names in the comments. So that's something that I've done either in the comment or if I repost. You do the @ and the, Tony Reyes as a way. I don't know if the analytics pick that up a little bit more. But let me know if that's true or not. And then in terms of the newsletter, does it have to be article or anything, any updates that you post, or you actually flag something as a newsletter? And so really to think about it as your series of articles?
I will say this. The news article is your best chance and opportunity to, I guess, present yourself, your professional brand. So I wouldn't use it. Post, you can do a lot of different things, give me a regular update. I wouldn't use my newsletter for that. I will use that to showcase my expertise, and I do, right? So I'm telling you what I do, and I think that's the best to use. So based off my research. So if you're using LinkedIn for a reason, again, I began with have a goal. So whatever that goal is, make your newsletter somehow associated with that goal. And typically it's professional. So depending on your background, you have things you want to share, right? That's why you're doing this. That's why you're on LinkedIn. So for me, focus on thought leadership, keep it practical, keep them short, right? And people will see it. I meet people every day at school who read my newsletter. I forget that people don't look at it, right? But I'm always like taken aback by, oh wow, you read it? They're like, yeah. I'm like, well, thank you, right? So that's my thought about tagging people. Be careful with that because that can look spammy, especially if you bring my name into something that I didn't ask you to tag me in. And I've seen that go bad for people. where they're
Okay.
like, "Hey, I didn't ask you to tag me," and you're like, "Oh, you can do this in comments on the individually." So you can, if you know a person well, but I would, if it's a stranger, I wouldn't just tag in random
yeah.
people because you never know how they take it.
Got it. Gina, you have a question that you put into chat. Tony, what are your thoughts about open to work banner on LinkedIn?
Yeah, I'm a big believer in doing that. It comes from remember the days when they said like the best time to look for jobs when you have one, kind of a thing, right? So open to network, I guess, is good positioning if I'm open for people contacting me because there's some value that I can provide them. But I think it gives a sense that it doesn't give a sense of, this is my opinion, it gives a sense of desperation a little bit. And people are, I don't know, people are turned off by it. I've heard, but again, this could be all anecdotal. I think that if I'm already in LinkedIn and I'm already networking, I don't need to tell somebody I'm open to network. It's obvious I'm open to network because I'm networking, right? Usually a person uses that because the ideal is a person doesn't think you'll be open and communicating with them. Okay, what kind of situation would it be in when a person doesn't think that I would want to network with them? It'll be a person looking for something from me, right? Because if I'm looking for something, does that make sense? Where it makes sense in my head. If I'm worried about saying I'm open to network, I guess the question for I would ask Gina is what would what would you gain by having open to network? Why do you think it's useful? I'll start with that. I know the assumption, but I don't want to assume. So I'll leave that there. And if it comes to a response in the comments, I'm going to read it. But I don't think you need to put open to work. I think for some people, it could be seen as somewhat as desperate or it can turn people off. But I don't have enough evidence and data to back up what I'm saying. So that's the best I can say in that situation.
Good. Isabel, did you have a question?
Yeah, you talked about the 3-1-3 technique, and I just wanted to confirm what the 3-2-1 technique was.
It's exactly the same thing.
Okay.
It's just two different ways that people seem to break up their content. And those two different terms I thought people use, but it's very common. I have a list of about 25, 30 people that I've just went through LinkedIn and saw their following. Make sure they weren't influencers and they were regular people, but they had great followings from different fields. And that seems to be a cross between what they do.
Thank you. And
You're
Linda
welcome.
has her hand up.
All right.
Hello. First of all, thank you so much. This was really informative, and I hope this isn't too much of a basic LinkedIn question, but I'm curious if you have suggestions. I, outside of USC, professionally sort of wear two very different hats, and I've always struggled with like how to encapsulate that in a profile because they don't necessarily play well together. So you have thoughts on that?
I love that question. As a person with many interests, I love that. I've asked like top podcasting experts at digital conference I went through, have millions of followers, this exact same question. Because I'm like, well, I do many different things. How do I navigate that on these platforms? I'll tell you what I've been told. So great question, actually. The great thing about social media, that everything about you need to be on every platform. So I focus on my digital strategy stuff on LinkedIn, right? I have a podcast that does something else over there. I have two podcasts that have nothing to do with digital strategy, right? So it's not about you doing different things, it's about where you place that, right? Again, I believe in using social for a goal. The only place that I don't have a goal for social media really is my Facebook. Usually I see something that I like that makes me chuckle and I send it to my friends and family and we laugh about it. That's about it. Or I create groups based on certain businesses I'm involved in. So, and even those groups are not about digital strategy, they're about healthcare. So the thing is, I believe, and Barbara Sher wrote a great book. It's called I Can Do Anything I Want to Do If I Knew How to Do It. That's actually the title of the book by Barbara Sher. And you can do it all, I believe. The key is you don't have to do it all in one place. So have a goal for LinkedIn and whatever else you do, is it for LinkedIn? Or is it better as a podcast? Is it better for YouTube? Is it better for Facebook, Instagram? Find another place for it. So that would be my answer to you. Anyone else?
Other questions?
I have another question.
Sure.
What are your thoughts on LinkedIn Premium? Do you find it worth it? I saw that you have it, so I think I know your answer, but just can you elaborate more?
I do find it useful because it provides me more data and information, but not having it, they say that when you have it, it'll boost things, and it probably does. But I would say in the beginning, if you're not really using LinkedIn, I wouldn't spend all that money going premium. I would say that start building the habit. And then when you are consistent in your habit, I would say definitely go premium. It gives you more access to, different members' information, and it gives you different features, additional features. I think they still have creator mode on LinkedIn. I can't remember if they still have it or not. I know they were getting rid of it. So maybe it doesn't exist anymore. But if they select creator mode, I would tell you to go creator mode. For right now, keeping it simple, don't worry about premium. Just start building the habit of posting, connecting. Then when you feel good about that, then go premium. I think it's worth it at the end of the day.
Amanda?
Thank you, Ryan. And thank you, Tony, for the insightful presentation.
Mhm.
A thought that popped into my mind as you were talking about amassing followers on LinkedIn and
Mhm.
connections. I recognize that on other forms of social media, you can monetize your following. Is that something that happens with LinkedIn as well? I'm not privy to that at all.
Great question, Amanda. Thank you. From not on LinkedIn. Well, think about it's a business platform, right? It's B2C and B2B. So people reach out in order to get people that I can build business with. So it's it's not direct, it's indirect. But usually it goes offline. Usually the link that goes somewhere else to another page, another platform. So not on LinkedIn. Is there a way to monetize directly on the platform? It doesn't exist. Nothing has changed. So I'll just say that, but
Yeah.
no, you can't, not on the platform, but it gives you leads that
Right.
turn into business. It's typically how people use it.
Okay, thanks for that.
You're welcome.
Kelly?
Hi, thank you so much for hosting this session. My question is about social fatigue, and can you speak to that a little bit? I mean,
Oh,
just
yes.
I'm at the point where I don't want to do anything anymore at all. It's so
Thank you,
noisy and
Kelly.
so
Great.
overwhelming, and we're all very busy. So if everyone, sorry, but just got to get this out. If everyone that I was connected with were to do a newsletter, I think I would jump out of a window. So I'm just trying to make sense of being a participant while still being reasonable about what the expectations are for being a professional these days. I'll stop here.
That is a fantastic question. Wonderful question. Oh, yeah, it can be overwhelming. That's why the strategy I built is meant to be very simple. One, I think that we often fatigue ourselves with social. I think that we spend a lot of our spare time looking at our phones, that before we're doing, even we do it without purpose so much that when we try to do it for a purpose, we're already overwhelmed. I think that when it comes to the newsroom, it's not a newsletter, it's really just your post that they call a newsletter. It's not really a newsletter. It's just a post, to be honest. So it's no different than a post you already see. Secondly, I say start simple. Like if you have 15 minutes, no more than 15 minutes on that platform. Don't treat it like the others, and have a goal. I limit how many platforms I'm on because really I'm just wasting my time, right? So if I have to use platforms, I want to use one that has a good return on my investment of my time. So LinkedIn does that. Instagram doesn't do that for me. TikTok, I don't even use it because it doesn't feed me. I've used it before. Instagram, I do to when I want to learn things or things I get through Instagram, and Facebook is my other main area. So really about where we spend our time, and that's really up to us to limit our fatigue. So If you had to make a decision between this platform and other you use, that's really up to the individual. But for myself, I would rather get rid of others to reduce that fatigue to use a platform that could change my career future. So that's kind of the way I think about it. But yeah, I would say to start small, bite size. Don't overdo it because it can be overwhelming. Just read a couple of posts, no more than 15 minutes, then leave it alone. It'll build over time. But great question.
And an interesting kind of twist to that, Tony. I'm thinking of our
Mhm.
doctoral students, especially folks that might be engaged in research. Oftentimes that's time you're prepping for a career pivot, and you could potentially use your dissertation. I mean, cautiously, you don't want to, let people know who you're talking about, but some of the reflections on, oh, I've read this really interesting article, or I'm connecting the pieces on this, or this is something that I'm hearing from my participant. It doesn't have to be brand new work. Like integrate it into the things that you're doing and that you're spending time on, and then just bring some of those reflections in, and it shows the depth of the work that you're doing. But to Tony's point about strategy, if you are gearing up for a career transition, you've got to spend some time in the LinkedIn space to build that profile, because employers are potentially looking in those spaces and they want
They
to
do.
see, if there's not much there, it doesn't feed into a decision. But if there's some depth, and again, it's authentic and it shows who you are, that can be helpful in moving that next step in the process.
I agree with you 100%. In addition to what Ryan was stating about what you could share, trust me, a lot of what you share on LinkedIn doesn't have to be necessarily about, it can be simple as, today I am working on my dissertation. I feel this way, but I'm not sure about this thing, that's this subject matter in it, but I'll use something that I know from getting my master's in Chinese, right? It'll be like, oh, I had to connect with Chinese students in China to find out their thoughts about Obama. So I was looking at how Chinese people thought about Obama during the election back in 2008. So, our so it could be just a snapshot over something that you're doing, a journey to. It doesn't all have to be so professional, but it can be simple as you starting your day with a cup of coffee. I've seen that get thousands of comments and engagement. So again, that authenticity does not necessarily always have to be about your work. Things do well, just don't overdo it. If stuff about family does very well on it, right? But tasteful, right? Don't pictures of your kids, things like that. But there's it's not as stuffy and as professional as you may think it would be. And actually, you'll do a lot better if you're more of a well-rounded human being on a platform and not just talk about work all day. So. Anyone else?
And I'll just say the slides will be, or the video, we do record this and we post it to the YouTube Rossier page. There's a career playlist. So I'll put a link of that in the chat. I'll see if we have one more question. We'll take that, but we're nearly at time here. Oh, Kelly, yes.
Yes, I did have one more, thank you. And it's
Okay.
about job posts and is there a hack to figuring out if they're current, recent? You see a lot of reposts. I see that they got smart and they updated the number of folks that applied. Now it just says over 100 instead of 5,872 like it used to show. So is there any tips you can offer around that?
Great question. So I'll say two things. One, when it comes to job posts, a lot of times they have the name of the poster and the department who posted it is associated with that post often, not all the time. Contact that person. I've done it. Especially, I saw a post like a few years ago prior to USC, that was for the city. And I saw it several times over some time, like it's been months. So I emailed the HR person, like, hey, are y'all really hiring for this position? Because I think you're posting it again. You can be that frank with them in the comments. So you can engage with people about those posts and really ask, an honest question, like, are you really hiring for this? I mean, you can ask almost anything you do it the right professional way. So that's a great way of dealing with that. Secondly, when it comes to job posts, often there's more jobs not posted than what you see on there. And that's one of the great things about posting on LinkedIn and building your professional brand. You want to get to a place where people are seeking you, you're not seeking them. And it's very easy to do on this platform compared to others. I've been hired before via LinkedIn because this guy was reading my post and I started working in Beverly Hills because he liked what I wrote and he contacted me, right? And said, hey, I wanted to have you come in for this. It wasn't really an interview, to be honest, because I already pre-sold myself before my emissary, but my representative already went out and represented for me. So by the time the person was talking to me, it was already situated. My friend is on a board based off his post in his newsletter, right? And he had job opportunities do come up from it. So LinkedIn does work. And I've definitely got many opportunities via LinkedIn. So again, let's focus on the posts that are there, but you'll be surprised what you'll see, what will come to you as you put it out. There's a great thing I read in this book that said, it has something think, yeah, what's this thing? I love this thing, and I can't remember it, but it's something to the effect of send out ships. It's as simple as that. That means I don't know if I'm gonna catch any fish that day, but I know I have to be fishing, right? So just send out ships. So as you just build it, and they'll go from there. People will come, but also engaged. So
That's great. Well, Tony, again, thank you so much for sharing your interests. I hope this was helpful to folks, gave you some action items that you can take from this. And again, we'll be posting this up on the career playlist. So it should hopefully go up in the next few days. Feel free, Tony shared his contact information. Feel free to reach out to him if you've got further questions, and do your homework of connecting with everybody that was in this session. So look forward to connecting with all of you in LinkedIn and come up with a couple of action items that you can take away from this session.
definitely. And the one thing I want to say before you end it, someone
Sure.
put in there, and I'm from a military town, so I want to make sure I spotlight that if you are a veteran, you can get a premium account for free, which is fantastic. So
That's great.
tell your friends who are veterans, or if you're a veteran, make sure you do that. That's all.
And we have access to faculty and staff at the university and students, I think, to LinkedIn Learning. We have access, which is there's a lot of interesting content there. So again, if you want to learn accessing different parts of LinkedIn, it provides lots of content outside of that area too. But I'm studying more on AI in that space. So check that out as well. Very good. Well, Thank you, everybody. Have a great afternoon. Fight on, and see you on campus, hopefully.
I appreciate your time. Goodbye.
Bye.